Hi, it's Christina from East States Kitchen, and this is how I shoot my cooking videos. Get into your face is a close-up. Right, okay, so over the years, there have been quite a few of you who have asked, Christina, how do you shoot your cooking videos? You know, what camera do you use? How do you edit it? And so today I thought I would tackle the how to shoot one, because that one's going to be a little bit funner, just to show you guys the other half of things behind the camera, and I hope you guys all enjoy. So I think a lot of you guys are going to find this really interesting, because you're going to think that a lot of the things start in the kitchen. But actually, a majority of the things that you guys see, I actually film here in my really kind of small, tiny galley sunroom. And it really all started because in the winter time in England, it gets very dark very early. I would say like 2:30 max, and everything gets kind of pretty dark. So at some point, because I do prefer to shoot with natural light, I think that that's going to be the prettiest for you guys. At a certain point, I couldn't really film in the kitchen anymore, because that side is the east side of things, and so it's really only bright pretty early in the mornings, but this is the side that gets the most light. And so I think maybe a year and a half ago I decided to just move everything out here and start shooting here. And of course the biggest problem around here, one, is that it is quite tiny. I would say, like, from the space that I get to work with, from this counter to here, maybe like 2 feet, 2.5 feet max. And so there's not really a lot of room for me to move around, you know, really the tripod and me, you know, behind it. The second thing that's really annoying about this is there's no sink, and you'll be surprised at how much you need the sink when you're doing kitchen-y things. So that means, like, every time I need water, every time I spill or just something, I have to actually go, you know, through the living room and then back into the kitchen. And so that always kind of takes a lot of time. Short of that, I would say it has really pretty light. Like, even when the sun is about to go down, like sometimes there's too much light. I think room-wise, and I've had to get quite creative with this, is I'm not able to take a lot of angles, like front view. I usually can't do. It's usually the back view or the side view. And I've tried to put a tripod and a camera on this this table. Let me see. Maybe you guys can see better if I move my tripod better. I've tried to put a tripod here, but because this is actually one solid piece of wood, but if I move, or if I'm doing like a kneading motion, it moves the camera and it moves the tripod too. So it eliminates certain angles for me. So okay, so technically a lot of the prep work starts off in the kitchen. And I mean, I like to show you guys the prep work too and do everything outside, but like I said, having to go back and forth, I usually like to have a majority of the ingredients prepared, and anything that I would think that I wouldn't need to shoot, I would try to prepare here first and then bring it outside. So today we're gonna do like a tofu, I don't know, like a pan-fried tofu with sauce dish, which I'm still figuring out a little bit. I like to make a little bit more of a healthy substitution. So I tried it with chickpea flour, and then I tried it with like buckwheat flour, as opposed to just cornstarch. I mean, not that that makes this dish any any healthier. Always scary with the knife there. Ugh. So this is really the private stash of pretty and very expensive pottery that I will use in the shows, and I don't use these at all for like eating, just normal things. It's purely for like photography, and it's purely for the show. So usually, like when I'm thinking about like a mood or a vibe that I want for the show, which generally, oh, as you guys know, is pretty rustic, I will kind of go for, you know, obviously hand thrown pottery, you know, things kind of like this really set the scene. So it's really just props, really, if you think about it. Props for a movie, I guess. Some fake leaves. There's so much stuff here. Gotta be careful of the camera. Okay, so the first thing that I would have done had I not screwed up the shades is to clean this. So let me just bring this back. Hold on. I told you it was a sunroom. It's usually pretty good, but by the afternoon the sun is really strong. It's very direct. So I guess now one of the first things that I do is I have kind of this sheet cloth that is a diffuser, because otherwise you're gonna get really harsh lights. I'm sure sometimes you guys already see that. But really, like, the first thing of what I do is I try to see if I have left any gunk from last time. So a lot of it is just spent cleaning a bit. I make sure to wipe down the surfaces, especially for cooking, is even if it's just like a small speck of something in shot, it makes your kitchen or your workspace look like you're dirty. It makes you look like a mess. So the first thing to do is to really see if there's like dust, if I had left some flour, if there was, I don't know, something greasy somewhere. An induction cooker, a big thing of enabling me to kind of move over to this space. So everything kind of goes, there's like a small trash bag over there. Everything kind of goes off camera, the stuff that you don't see, but there's really a ton of just junk right here. We're kind of making like a fried tofu dish today with some sauce. Like, the more that you cook, the more you're like, oh, like I don't need a recipe at all. I very rarely read the methods. I kind of just read the ingredients and I'm like, oh yep, I'm totally good to go. And then every, like, I think 2 times out of every 50 recipes, that comes back to bite you. Okay, so I'm gonna shoot some B-roll for you guys here, but essentially what I have is, I have this guy right here. Something that's good to know, I'll tell you guys this as I go because this is gonna be a long video, but wearing your strap, having a heavy camera, and then pulling on your strap with the camera keeps everything stable. That's the thing, like when you're hand holding, it gets very tricky. And any footage where it's shaky and you can't use it, I mean, you might as well not have taken it. So knowing kind of that trick is really nice. So I think the first thing of what we're gonna do, and I don't really script this, is I think I forgot something. So that means I have to go back into the kitchen. Okay, cool. I had to grab some chickpea flour. Reason I wanted to get it first was because while this board is clean, I want to do all of the things where I don't chop on it first, so that we don't have to clean it again. So sometimes it's just about the look of it, so I have to take a look at it with the camera. Funky thing about natural lighting, in London anyways, is just that the clouds, it shifts all the time, so it brings you some issue. Let me just kind of show it to you. Yeah. I'm trying to get footage here and I'm trying to get footage for you guys there just to match. Sometimes it's okay to be a little bit further away because you can always crop it afterwards. The other thing I didn't tell you guys is there are boards underneath me, so sometimes when I step on the wrong one, it shakes the camera, and that is why you guys will see shaking as well. I'm gonna always check back because I don't want that guy to run out of batteries. Okay, so I think we'll do something like this. We're going to make like a batter to fry the tofu in. We're gonna be quiet for this, but it's a good thing to make sure that your aperture is like, I'd say like 5 or above, just to make sure that everything is in focus, although sometimes it's very artsy to have it out of focus as well, I guess. So just from, kind of show it to you guys, but just from editing my own videos, I know that you don't really need that much time for the initial thing. It's a good tip to always assume that people have short attention spans. Short attention spans meaning you can't keep them on the same clip for a really long time, or else sometimes they get bored. Sometimes it's fine, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's relaxing, but sometimes it's not. I think you guys like this a lot more where I'm actually with you. So, left hand has to get pretty strong. We're gonna finish it off here. I think a good thing to note with my type of filming is it's quite traditional in that, like, I like everything to be smooth. Like, we have a lot of shows today where, and it's cool too, where it's like quick cuts, quick breaks, you know, and it keeps things going. It's more of like a vlog format. For me, because I do tend to like a cleaner format, at least for my cooking shows. The way that I explain it is when you do a far away shot and then someone comes in and does something that is interesting, such as stirring something or frying something, a human's automatic reaction is to be like, ooh, ooh, like, what's that? Like, I want to get up closer. That is the same thing of what you want to do with the camera. That is exactly how you want to mimic it. So when you have a shot that is, you know, far away, you're not that it's automatic, but like, you want to mimic a person's reaction, and you want to mimic like, ooh, like, well, of course I want to go up there, of course I want to smell it, of course I want to be there. And for, you know, a lot of years, I used to like just the perspective of, literally, I would shoot behind the camera because I wanted the perspective of like someone who is actually doing the cooking. And of course, like, on occasion, like, you do want to kind of like mimic your eyes. Like, that is why hand holding is also very good. Like, hand holding without shaking is really good because it really mimics the eyes. Like, you can get a camera to get up close to an object, but it's the fact that it's still stationary. It makes things feel static. And you want to mimic, like, as if a human really went up to your food and was kind of like, you know, and humans sway and move around. And that's exactly what you want to do when you mimic the camera. Like, you want to let the camera be essentially the eyes of your thing. So I can see here that, like, I think I would want it to be just a bit thinner. So a lot of the times I'll just kind of adjust these things off camera, or like if I think that it needs more sauce, I'll adjust it off camera and then note it when I write down the recipe, because otherwise it'll take a little too long. So what we ended up doing, it was far away before, it was far away, then we got close, then The light started coming up, so we gotta adjust that a little bit. In between shots is, obviously this is done on my phone, but like I will just clean up everything because otherwise it looks like a really messy kitchen and whatnot. Okay, so after kind of cleaning up in between each one, I think the next shot that I want to do is to just clear this out. It's going to be like a new scene to simplify a recipe for people. Like sometimes my recipes aren't always that simple, and I know that, but the way that you present it simplifies it for people, cutting it into steps, having it organized like this. The pan here, that's ready to go. And sometimes sometimes you need to, I mean, every single time you need to turn the screen on because sometimes things look differently in real life than they do on a screen. And you can really manipulate that to make that happen. I'm gonna bring this in like I just came from the kitchen. I'm gonna get a close up so that people can see how simple it is. What I know is that in this shot, I'm going to be telling you, okay, like we'll be using some soy sauce, some ketchup, some, vinegar. I am thinking about that voiceover in my mind as I film this so that I know how long to film it for. When you do something like close-ups like this of something simple, it's very easy to move around a lot, like you feel like you have to, but it's also important to not make people seasick, so just enough to do it. I also think it's important to know, like, when you're doing a new scene, it goes into the editing, but you want to keep things moving because that's how it's going to look. I always worry that I'm going to bump into this and move it, but so I know that like this is probably, this is going to be the sweet spot here for where to put the tofu. Yeah, that might not have been the best angle for it because I have a left arm. So what are we gonna do now? It's gonna be pretty quick actually. I think we can fry it now. Let's get a close-up of it. The other reason for a close-up, other than for people wanting to get into your face, is a close-up clears the shot for when you edit. So when you edit, you don't want to go from shot to shot to shot and have it all be different without continuation. Like it's very jumpy and it's very like scary for the viewer to watch. But when you clear it with a close-up, so you can get it to a close-up and then suddenly it's a new scene, it's okay with people because they know, like, obviously you're not going to stay up close forever, and then the shot is okay. So I'm gonna clean it up that way. I need a thing. Hold on. So we're gonna put it into another bowl, and then yeah, I think that's how we're gonna do it. Get you closer. I'll get you closer. Maybe. Don't get sick. So So everything gets a little bit different now because now we're on this side. The light is hitting this. It's very, very bright. I need to get a second sheet. The outlet is on that side, and I have chosen to put the induction cooker on this side. So we have to bring out an extension cord. Okay, so let's see how to do this. So I'm gonna pour in the oil, and oil from, if I was to, I guess, bring it from here, kind of just looks, you know, not of the era, not the look that we're going for. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna take another thing, this guy, okay, literally food photographer's best friend, pours out milk, makes everything seem rustic and from the countryside. So I'm gonna pour my oil into here. It's important when you're shooting to not stop the shooting when you think, oh, okay, like the scene's done. It's important to give it a break. Either it helps you in the editing process, but it also doesn't make things too abrupt. I wanna, again, get a shot of me opening this. So this is a Xiaomi induction cooker, and it makes the cutest sound. Damn it, I always stop. I always go the wrong way. I don't know if that was too slow or if that looked kind of fake. Let's do that again. Okay, so now it kind of technically has to be quick. There was like a weird piece of thing that just fell in. Okay, cool. I'd normally put on a mask. I'm just gonna do it a little quicker today. Okay, so this is tricky because now I need to show that I'm dipping the tofu in the batter. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show this process by backing the camera up a little bit more. And then afterwards I will get up close and I'll show the process again as we put it in. Oh, jeez. Having a sink is very useful because, oh God, this is why my camera gets all gross in a very short amount of time. Like, you know that the money shot is when it fries. That is what people want to see. That is what people want to hear. So to avoid like not having to do things over and over again. Okay, let's take this off for a sec. Let me just think about this. So, it is just dripping all over the place. I'm just gonna turn this off for a sec. And then I have to go wash my hands. Okay, so, okay, I just need to wipe this. Sorry. I got this with some paper towels in it. That's turned on quite low at the moment. Before I flip it, I kind of want to see that I have not burned it, which I very likely have. Nope, that looks good. I think, does this one look good? I mean, that's the thing with these shows, guys, is like you always think like, oh, like everything looks so perfect, but you know, I have to flip it over first because I'm not going to be showing you guys my mistakes. So Just gonna let it go just a bit longer. I know that I didn't get a shot of everybody in, so I'm gonna redo that. Gets hot. I don't want to always use my hands, but it helps it flip. And then people are very simple, so they want to get up close again because they're like, ooh, like you fried it golden brown. That's going to be really pretty. Get our noses in there. So what I don't like about the induction burners are that they do make a lot of noise. So sometimes what you might want to do is to just shut off the induction burner. And then of course the pan is still hot. And then you can get that frying sound unadulterated. Adulterated? Unaltered. I don't know. That's still on? Okay. There's a bit of downtime here. I'm gonna finish these off, and then when these are done, I'm gonna transfer them onto a plate first. But what you also don't realize is, like, when I tell you to put it on a paper towel does not look good either, because it breaks kind of the whole like rustic vibe. So what I tend to do is I'll get something like this, and then I'll move it onto this, and then I'll put it onto the paper towel, because it looks better that way. So just moving everything over, sorry. Okay, so what I'll do is, yeah, it's all very silly stuff, but that sun is very strong. Okay, so now we can do a tight shot of what I had wanted to show, like the dips. Now I really wanted to concentrate on the dredging bit, so this is what we'll be doing. Finish doing that, and then afterwards I'll kind of bring you guys to the next level. You guys can see like how bright how bright it is. So let me just finish that off first. When I shoot, I have a tendency to tilt my stomach forward to, I think, balance off the weight of the camera. It is a very heavy camera. I mean, this thing is ready, so I'm just gonna keep it on very low, because a lot of the times the cooking is quicker than I am, all the time actually, so I have to just slow things down. It's not easy. I would usually maybe set this with a bowl of rice as well, just to, you know, pretend like it's a full meal, but we won't. The sun is absolutely strong here, so I'm just gonna block this. I have some sesame seeds here I think we could potentially sprinkle over. I'm just gonna test how this looks. It actually smells really, really good. So yeah, you know, you could probably add like a cup of tea right here. That'll set the stage for people to eat, and that's what you really want. There's a train that runs through pretty much right outside, so a lot of the times you're gonna hear that. That is the train. So this is typically, I mean, I keep the shots here really long, but this is typically when I will go in and say like, look how good that tastes. It's like creamy, it's yummy, it's spicy, it's whatever. So I just want to make sure that's on. So I want to make sure that I give it a fair bit of time. I give it a fair bit of space. A lot of the times I feel like I'm standing here for a really long time when that's really not the case. And I also like to end it like this. So you know how we have the end screens with YouTube at the end. So I usually like to just keep it here. So for the length of like, okay, I'm so glad that you guys watched this. Like, thank you so much. If you want to see more recipes like this, remember to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys all again next time. Bye. Okay, so I like to do that end shot first because everything is still neat and I like ending it like that. But what else you have to realize is I need to take a thumbnail. So this last bit, just come a bit closer. So this last bit can take me a fair bit of time because thumbnails are pretty much what matters. So I want to make sure to get that shot well. A lot of the times, because I do food photography as well, so I want to put this in a profile or something, I'll take it outside, I'll put it down on a table, and I'll spend another 4 hours kind of styling it and doing it, and then bringing it back here and then finishing the shot for you guys. So a lot of the times it's going to take like a really long time. So, but this time we're not going to do that. So I'm probably going to put just some seeds on it. So for thumbs, like maybe 100 shutter, ISO still 100 because it's so bright. We'll try an F7. Remember to give it a little room because, YouTube crops that thumbnail. Their board went, I think it's outside. Okay, we'll just do this. I just needed a little bit of reflection just to brighten it up just a tad. And for things like YouTube, the rules for YouTube are very different from the rules of Instagram. It's slightly different for the rules of Reddit. People really like to see that something is delicious on YouTube. Like they want to be able to eat it. And so a lot of the times that 45-degree angle shot is going to do. However, I like it's a lot of work, I think, for an average video for me. And I get about 2,000, sometimes 2,500 views. An average video will make, I would say, maximum, I would be lucky if I got $2 in a month for a video. So it's it's something where, you also have to like it to do that. So yeah, this whole recipe has taken us about 6 hours to do, and it was a shorter recipe than usual. So typically I'd say for a buns recipe where I have to deal with dough and other stuff, where it's a lot of multi-step, probably 8 hours minimum, usually. And then because I've done this for a couple of years now, I know the shots to take, I know what to edit, but usually editing will take probably, if I do it super, super quickly, 7 hours or so. So you're looking at, on average, maybe 15 hours. If it's a longer recipe, a lot longer than that. So yeah, if you guys want to see the edit, definitely let me know. I don't know if this is good. So I hope you guys all enjoyed watching this. I think the reason that I wanted to show you guys this other side was to actually show you that there's this other side to what I do. For sure, like, you know, a big part of it is cooking, but equally or even more of my time is spent, you know, shooting and working on the audio and video and the editing portion of it. So there's that side of YouTube as well. And I also think, like, with lockdown and just mentally and everything, it's been difficult, especially at the beginning. I really started to question how I was running the channel. Mainly because, like, you know, you look at ad revenue and you look at stuff like that when you start needing it, like for something like a lockdown. And I went into this like really bad place of like, am I running this channel correctly? Like, I started comparing my channel to other channels that I knew used to be, you know, like smaller or like, you know, was where I was, and then I saw like, wow, like they have so many, you know, subscribers, like they have so many views, like how come that's not happening for my channel? Like what, like, you know, clearly I'm doing something wrong, and what should I be doing? And you know, should I just be focusing more on like the commercial stuff? Should I just be focusing on things that make money and that, you know, and like, and I think what I concluded from that, and it took, you know, a couple months to really think about, was that I have to do me, I guess, even though sometimes, a lot of the times, money can be a really big factor in doing things. You know, I have this inability to be like the other channels, because like sometimes like people will find things that work for their channel and then they'll have to stick to that stuff for the rest of their YouTube lives. You know, like I just want to make, like they'll just make buns, or they'll just make noodles, or they'll just do, you know, very, you know, thumbnail and kind of I just do this like gimmicky content that has really worked, and like for sure, like that's your channel, and you have to find a way of making a living and whatnot, and I think for me, I need to trust in what I do. I honestly want this channel to be us exploring and learning together, and that means that a lot of my content is going to be varied, because I'm a person and I want to try new things. You know, I know you guys like dumplings. I know you guys like dim sum. I know that if I just do those things, I know the channel is going to be, you know, a little bit different. But I also, I'm interested in doing, you know, more of the filming stuff. I like vlogs. I like being more interactive with you guys. I like doing the, you know, like the equipment reviews and all of that. And that all has to do with just, you know, exploring and trying different content, and to come to terms with like, okay, maybe by doing this varied of a content that it makes me not as marketable, I think, you know, of content, but also come to terms with, if I am going to do what I want, if I'm going to vary the content, if I'm not going to follow the algorithm of what works, then I need to deal with the consequences of like, okay, like maybe you're not going to pick up subscribers as quickly. You're not going to, you know, have as many views. You're not going to have as much ad revenue. Like those things I struggle with all the time. Every couple of months, I'm always analyzing, like, oh, like how's the channel doing? How's it, you know, comparing with everyone else? And I needed to stop that, because that was driving me nuts, and it was putting me in a really bad place. And I just don't watch, like, I rarely watch like certain cooking things anymore. Like I still like to watch them. I like travel contents. I like things from different cultures. I love watching those, but I don't watch like, yeah, there's certain content that I don't watch, just because I don't want to see other people, because I'm not really that good at that. So yeah, that's it. Very light as usual. I hope you guys all enjoyed this. I have a ton of new content coming up along the way. I am working on like historical cookbooks. I know that you guys like those. I'm gonna be doing more equipment review as well. So just exploring with you guys a lot of different like Asian recipes that you might not have heard of that I just think is absolutely cool that you guys will love. So yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed watching this. Let me know if you guys have any questions on like equipment and shooting, and if you want to see another editing video from me. Okay, so yeah, I will see you guys all again real soon. Bye. Okay, so let's just talk. Focus. Good. Well, since this is a how I shoot video, I thought I would start off with the gear first. And I know a lot of you guys are gonna turn away from this, you're gonna get nervous, but this is going to be a how I shoot video. So this is how it's gonna work. So I started off shooting my YouTube videos with just a phone. I think my first 2 years, I had a DSLR. I didn't really use it too often. I was kind of afraid of it. And I used my phone, and it was perfectly fine. So for anyone that is looking to just start making your own YouTube videos, it's whatever camera gear that you have, and it's perfectly fine. And I'll kind of go through like why I changed and what you really need for it. But essentially, when you're doing cooking videos, this is for anyone, for any style. Tripod, an absolute must. But when you're working with something that is as light as a phone is, you can get the most baby of tripods, and it's not gonna, you don't need to worry about it tipping over or anything. So this is just something like from Amazon. You can get it just online pretty cheaply. I would say like 10, 15 bucks max. And for something like this, I tried it with like a small kind of mirrorless, this is the Canon M50. I tried it with that, and it supports the weight as well. So whether you're shooting with kind of a smaller compact camera or you're shooting with a phone, this guy is gonna work. So I'll put all of the links down below for that. So you need a tripod, you need an attachment like this. So if you're going to be shooting on your phone, which I think a lot of people have access to, you need one of these, which is basically a phone holder that connects to the tripod, and you essentially just wrap this around your phone like this, okay? And then there's like a hole here, and you just kind of attach it to the piece in your tripod, and then you're really ready to go with this. Why I liked shooting with my phone, at least my first 2 years anyways, was it was just so convenient. It was so light. And photographers know this, but anytime that you have anything that's like too difficult, that's like, oh, now I have to lug this, now this is too heavy, you have a tendency to not want to do things when even just like little bits of things get in the way. And so for me, for a phone, like I knew that if I wanted like a close-up shot of the food, I could just, go in with my hands, move it around. I wouldn't get, too tired as opposed to like a big DSLR with everything that's really heavy. So the other thing is like image stabilization. Like phones are improving so much. I mean, since like 5-10 years ago, you can do so many things on the phone now, like depth of field, whatever. And so I shot on that. I did have to use a camera app. I think I used Open Camera. There's probably some new ones out there, but what you need to do is if you are shooting with a phone, you need to set your exposure and lock it. Sometimes that means that you have to change it, but what generally happens when you see someone shoot with a phone is when, like, let's say the sun changes or the light changes, you can see that the phone gets darker and that the phone gets lighter. And that might not be a big deal. Like, I feel like for a lot of like younger audience or just YouTube videos that are more real nowadays, like that stuff doesn't really matter. But if you are looking to get kind of like a more professional feel to it, you have to lock your exposure so that the exposure is the same all the time, and so that it doesn't go wishy-washy like that. The second thing with the phone, and kind of why I eventually decided to use something else, not that it wasn't bad, but In dark light situations, it does get very staticky, it gets very noisy. And so, you know, for example, again, in England and London, when it gets darker during the winter times, it can be really hard to shoot. So you really have to find a place where it's lit really well. I think as long as it's lit really well, you're not, you know, moving it around too much. The phone is great, which I think that means it's really great for cooking videos too. And then also, like, why I would recommend using the phone also is just my phone gets automatically uploaded to a cloud storage of some sort. So whereas with a camera, you're gonna have to shoot, you're gonna have to, you know, potentially take out your SD card, put it in your computer, you're gonna have to organize all of the footage of like, okay, like this is what I shot, here, you know, putting it in its individual folders. With something like Google Photos or the Apple version of it, everything is already stored and it's up on your computer already. So that's kind of one less step that you have to worry about that you have to do. So really, to get started, you don't really need much at all. I told you guys I eventually moved away and started just using the DSLR just because I wanted kind of a more professional feel to it. But at times, you know, I still take my phone if I need to move around and it's like, oh, this is just like a quick shot of, you know, dumplings steaming, I'll still use my phone. I have the Canon 80D, which is a couple years old now, but it's really good for me for, it's not really good for vlogging, I still think it's a little big, but I originally had gotten it more for vlogging. So the 80D, I have, what is that, the Sigma 16 to 35 lens that is generally the one that I use all the time. And I like the zoom because, for example, sometimes when you're shooting something that's like really oily, you need to move really the camera back and really just to zoom in because you don't want the camera to be really close to cooking things. That's another thing is like the camera does get dirty. So sometimes if you can, like sometimes I'll use cling wrap and I'll wrap the camera so that it you know, it has like flour and bits all over it. So yeah, that is camera gear. One more thing, side things. Some people will ask about audio equipment. So I think if you are someone that is doing like, does this work? I think if you are somebody that is really focusing on an ASMR audience and you really want your show to be about sound, then, you know, taking something like a Rode mic like this and then connecting it to your camera works. Like you're gonna get really pretty sound from it. For me, I like sound in the background. I do think that brings the video more alive and it connects the audience better to what I'm doing. But I also layer it with obviously my voiceover. I layer it with music as well. And so I just use the on-camera microphone because there's not too much noise in here. It's pretty closed space, so you don't really need that. But what I was gonna say was, in terms of lavalier microphones, these Rode Wireless Go mics, A+ literally has changed like my life in terms of like how I vlog, in terms of like the audio that I want. Because if you are gonna use sometimes like mics like this and you happen to be in a room that has a lot of echo, this room has a lot of echo, and I think either way you guys are gonna pick up on that, but this room has a lot of echo. A lavalier mic is going to be better for that, especially if you have a lot of external noise. So these guys are just so small, you just connect it to your camera, you can like put it in your pocket. Changed the game for me in terms of having kind of a with me lavalier mic. Okay, cool. So that is it for okay, cool. So that is it for camera gear, audio gear, lighting. Like we talked about, like I really like natural light, so I tend to do that. I think it's the best for food, and it's also easy because I don't have to do any setup. But yeah, like eventually we could do some kind of like an artificial light system thing, but this is gonna be the easiest. Find a place near a window in your home with good light, you'll be fine.